I am back from the cruise. I know people want a big breakdown of the cruising. Everybody knows what happens on the boat. Stays on the boat. Doesn't all come ashore.
Yeah, you signed an NDA before going on the cruise.
It's understood. I will say, like, I actually ended up, I think people know I was very anxious before getting on that boat in the weeks before. And I don't know I could fully articulate what all my anxiety was about. I was afraid of just like, what happens when you're stuck on a boat for a week? Do you go stir crazy? Will I be nauseous at any point? I was right on the brink of getting nauseous at one point. It's a huge boat. This was a big boat. We saw other cruise boats, and this was the biggest cruise boat that I'd seen. It was a Hall in America boat, New Statendam or something like. I never was able to pronounce it.
What?
Because it's like a Dutch sounding name.
Dutch
I
stuff.
couldn't figure out what. I got to look it up though. I don't know how many people were on the boat. I would be surprised if it was less than like. Gosh, I'd be surprised if it was less than 1,500. And there was 14 floors.
And a casino and a basketball court, you were saying?
Big Central Mall area, I assume.
What's that?
The big Central Mall area in the center of it.
There was some stores and
Lots of bars.
there was a ton of bars and there was a basketball court. I played actually more basketball than I have in years. And I suffered for it too. But I was happy that I didn't get really injured. I thought I was going to. I didn't have the right sneakers because it didn't even occur to me there would be a basketball court. I also, as you alluded to at the beginning of the show, did not realize you could go eat whenever you wanted to, and or that it was included in the cost of the. And so I missed out on
How hungry were you?
Yeah.
Like, how did you eat?
you guys see how I eat. Like I eat a small breakfast, tiny breakfast, and then I don't eat lunch, and then I have dinner. And I would have dinner. We would sit with I would sit at the same table every night, and there would be 10 new nation cruisers, and then during the day, like when I would do a panel, they would have cookies and coffee, and I would just be like. Having a bunch of cookies. And, it never occurred to me. It just never occurred to me. It just never, ever
You're
occurred
like
to
Jean
me.
Valjean on this ship,
And
stealing food to survive.
on the last day, I was hanging out with Bhaskar Sankara and Anand Gopal. And we went off the boat to go to a beach, and he kept talking about this mac and cheese. He really has and I'm like, I wasn't that interested in it. And he's like, and the desserts, because they had a barbecue and on this island, and we went to the barbecue, and they took the cupcakes away before I could get one. And I'm like, I'm bummed. I really wanted to have a cupcake. And he's like, just go to the Lido deck. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he marched me back to the boat and up to the Lido deck, and then I had 12 desserts.
There you go.
Yep.
And was that the last day when you figured it out?
It was literally the last meal. And
What a waste.
he said to me at one point, he's like, have you had the little Dutch pancakes? And then we went to a different place, and he watched me eat the Dutch pancakes. He had some weird thing with watching me eat desserts too. That was weird. But
Live vicariously through you.
I think that was it. And but it was interesting. I was on some interesting panels, and I interviewed some people, and I don't know. It's something that maybe down the road. I don't know that we would ever do a Majority Report cruise, but they also do like a Majority Report trip, to somewhere like Cuba or something like that. I don't know. That could be fun.
Are you kidding me? Of course. That would be amazing.
Yeah. People want to know if I wore my Thanos tank top on the cruise. No, I did not. I did not wear the tank top on the cruise.
But the guns were out, right?
Well, I wore a T-shirt, if that's what you mean, but I didn't wear a tank top.
I guess that doesn't qualify.
No. I kept the guns holstered. I'm trying to normalize. All right, let's okay. So there it is. I'm trying to think like what else. Maybe other things will strike me at different times during.
Any ports stick out?
We went to Curacao, which was fascinating because you don't really think like some of these like vacation destinations are going to be like fascinating. Curacao is fascinating. There was a big oil refinery there. And that the Dutch had done, like, I think it was Shell, back when they got Venezuelan oil. And then they sold it to Venezuela, I think, because it's not far from Venezuela at all. And then the Venezuelans, stopped using it. So there's huge oil refinery there that is not being used. And I went out on one, like, you can go on these, like, little excursions. And, I also did not do that adeptly either at all because I panicked. I didn't know that you were supposed to sign up.
You're worried you wouldn't get back in time?
No, I signed up because I signed up late. I didn't know. I've never been on a cruise and I needed like a cruise doula or something and I didn't have one. And so I signed up for this excursion and I was on with none of the people from the nation. And I'm hanging out with this couple and they were perfectly nice. But I said, where are you from? They said, Portland area. And I said, oh, and they asked me, I'm from New York. And they said, oh, we went to New York in 2018, but I wouldn't go there now.
Really?
And I'm like, why? And they said, because of the crime. And I'm like,
this happened to me in the summer. I met a few people from Texas on a food tour when I was in Las Vegas, and they all were like, oh, we were considering going to New York for this trip, but like, we got so nervous about all the crime on the subway. So
maybe that's just something to say. I mean, maybe they weren't really.
No, they said they had a great time. They were worried about the crime, and I said, I know what you're talking about because they're like crime is up 40% on the subway, but the thing you don't hear is ridership is up 38% from where it was, and so and they're like, oh wow, and then they said, well, Portland is just the hellscape, and then it comes out that the guy worked for the petroleum industry, and and then we got into
Dark horse listener,
and there was a lot of talk of like the regulatory stuff is really inhibiting the refining capacity and on and on and on. I mean, they were perfectly nice, and I Did
you resist the urge to challenge them? Because if I'm in those situations, I'm there to have a good time. There's no way I'm debating some random couple on that. That's just not happening.
Oh, I definitely tried to plant some seeds. And at one point he says to me, he goes, I snuck into that nation thing. One of the talks. And I said, and he said, it was, I'm pretty sure when a Republican was speaking, because they were criticizing Nancy Pelosi. And I go, I got some news for you. That was not a Republican.
Speaking at the Nation cruise?
Speaking at the Nation cruise, that was someone who was criticizing Nancy Pelosi from the left. And it seemed for a moment like I thought like he was I could see like he could have had a stroke after that. It was like he could not compute.
When I was like talking to people in the election in 2016, you'd get genuine shock if I criticized Hillary Clinton, and that's the way that you can get in with some of these people, right?
Yes, I tried to.
They just want to hear some criticism of Democrats.
I tried to push that a little bit, and I pursued it, but I would have needed a much longer period of time. Mm-hmm. But these people, they were on the cruise for 2 weeks.
Wow.
They took the cruise and then they took it again. Like almost like going to see a movie twice. You go out of the movie and then you stay in the lobby and you go back in. There was some people on that cruise who were there until May. And I'll tell you something. I don't know if it's a bad idea. I think it's possible.
You're
Like
a
in a couple of
convert.
years, like that's what I'm doing. 6 months out of the year, I'm on a cruise boat, and that's it.
The cruise that sounds fascinating to me is the one that goes around the Mediterranean. You can go to different countries.
Well, a lot of these people went on a bunch of cruises, and there's some that go through the Great Lakes, like where you do scientific experiments. There's ones that go down the Danube in, the
Longest
Rhine,
river in Europe.
and you visit all these different small towns. And I don't know. I'm not convinced that I won't become
A cruise guy.
A
a
cruise
cruiser.
guy.
Well, a cruiser is what we call it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Sam Cruise.
You're showing that, you're not in.
Yep. So there it is, folks. You wanted the cruise report.
A
and
Great
it's-
Lakes cruise would be super fun.
Yeah, and doing scientific experiments.
Well, in the bar.
Yeah, right. My mad scientific experiment and mine was like, how much weed can I mix with my
Yeah.
alcohol and still be?
Well, that was the
Coke.
thing is I couldn't get too messed up. I did some drinking. I definitely did some drinking, and I had scheduled at one point. They had like a whiskey tasting thing, which I was gonna do, but I ended up playing basketball instead. So there you go.
All right. We covered it. You definitely talked more about that than Disney World.
I
will
know.
say.
Well, Disney, I had a lot to say about Disney, and I didn't want to like drab it out, and then I guess I never followed up on that. So